Hi everyone, I'm Deep. I'll be presenting the work Memorization in Neural Networks as the loss function matter. We know that deep neural networks are quite good at interpolating the data. Zhang et al. Show that SGD based training of neural networks drives the training accuracy to 100% even for randomly labeled data. They call this memorization because the network overfits the entire training set. None of the standard regularizers seem to be helping resist this overfitting. There are other studies which study which analyze the dynamics of this memorization process and what it means for generalization in deep networks. In our study, we look at the effect of loss function on the degree of memorization. Just to reiterate, memorization is essentially about the training error. It's about, can the network always learn a function that perfectly interpolates the training data? This will, of course, depend on the kind of local minima that SCD can take the network to, which in turn will depend on the topography of the empirical risk that is being minimized. And the choice of loss function can be critical in determining this topography. So that's none of the studies on memorization have investigated this. And that's what we look at, and we show that the choice of loss function can affect memorization. We empirically show that a special class of loss functions called symmetric losses, they are able to resist this memorization. We formally define what resisting memorization means, and we give some theoretical justification for these empirical results. Some comments before we move on to the work. There are many studies that compare empirical studies that compare different loss functions for classification and regression on different kinds of data like speech, image, text, and so on. However, our study is distinct in the sense that we are looking at the role loss functions can play in affecting this memorization in over-parameterized networks such as neural networks. A related problem is designing of algorithms for robust learning when the training data has randomly corrupted labels. This is a widely studied problem. However, we are interested in the inherent ability of a loss function to resist overfitting of training data when labels are randomly altered. Our study is limited to this aspect. A quick word on the notation. Script X is the feature space, script Y is the label space, K is the number of classes, S is the original training set, S eta is the training set with the randomly altered label. So in practice, we will have access to S eta and not S. I will have access only to the corrupted labels. And these labels are generated from the original clean labels via CLs, as can be seen in equation 1. So the label is kept the same with probability 1 minus eta, and it's flipped to any of the remaining classes with a uniform probability of eta over k minus 1. This eta is referred to as the noise rate. H eta is the classifier that is learned using this S eta, the noisy data, as the training data. Two important quantities to understand our results, J1 and J2 accuracies. So what we do is we first learn a classifier H eta on the noisy training data, meaning the training set with randomly altered labels, and then measure accuracies with respect to both the noisy labels and the clean labels. So if we measure with the noisy labels, that's the usual training accuracy J1. And if we measure this training accuracy with respect to the clean labels, we call it J2. And when we plot these J1 and J2 versus epoch, it is the relative values of this J1 and J2 which will give us some interesting insights into the effect that different loss functions can have. For the study, we compare three loss functions, CCE, MSE, and robust log loss. CCE and MSE are fairly commonly used. RLL is a modification of CCE in the sense that CCE is unbounded. So we add this constant alpha that you can see here to make it bounded, and there are some additional terms which are required for it to satisfy a property called symmetry. Symmetry is defined as can be seen in equation 2. So what I do is I take loss values and sum it over for all the labels. If that is a constant C, for all possible classifiers H and for all possible patterns X. If it is the same constant C, then that's called a symmetric loss. And we'll see why this is useful in the coming slides. So we'll look at a few empirical results comparing these three losses. The experimental setup is we tested on two benchmark datasets, MNIST and CIFAR-10. We used the same architecture that was used in the Zhang et al. Study for memorization, Inception Light, and in addition to that, we used two ResNets for CIFAR-10 and MNIST. We use SGD and ResNets Adam for the optimization, and for ResNets we train for 200 epochs. For Inception Light we train only for 100 epochs because by then the training accuracy saturates. So as we can see in case of CIFAR-10 for both the ResNet and Inception Light architectures, that whether we use CC or MSE loss, the training accuracy saturate to 100%. The different colors that you are seeing here, they correspond to different noise rates. The lighter the shade, the lower the noise rate. The darker the shade, the higher the noise rate. So at the top, you will see the peach color, that is 0% noise rate. At the bottom, you see purple, dark purple, that is 60% noise rate. Similar trends are there in MNIST also. So here also we see that CC and MSE, in both the cases, the training accuracy is either close to 100% or is quite high and converging to higher values. So for CC and MSE, the overfitting is happening. They are not able to resist this overfitting to the noisy data. However, keeping everything in the training algorithm same except for one change, the loss function. If I change the loss function, and let's say we change it to RLL, we see that for both the data sets and for different architectures, the training accuracies are now saturating at levels much below 100%, the training accuracies. In fact, in many of these cases, you are seeing that it is saturating to about 1 minus eta times 100%. So the network is not overfitting. In addition, it's because the training accuracy is saturating to almost 1 minus eta times 100%. So for instance, in the figure B, you can see the bottommost curve at 40%. That is corresponding to 60% noise rate. So it's as if we have almost inferred the noise rate. That's quite interesting. To understand this a little better, we'll plot J1 and J2 accuracies. So just to recall, J1 is the usual training accuracy measured with respect to the noisy labels. J2 is the training accuracy measured with respect to the clean labels. Here we see two things. For losses like CC and MSE, the J1 curve eventually goes above, meaning that the network first starts learning from the clean data and then gradually starts overfitting to the noisy data. For RLL, so in figure B and D, you do not see these crossovers of J1 and J2 curves, which shows that the RLL resists overfitting to the noisy labels. And in fact, one more observation that we can make in figure B, for instance, is that the J1 and J2 accuracies are quite similar. So to understand why this is happening, let's recall our notation. So S is our original training data. S eta is the data with randomly altered labels. D eta are the corresponding distributions, and correspondingly H and H eta are the learned classifiers. So we say that an algorithm resists memorization if this equation holds, meaning I have clean data, I learn a classifier H. I have noisy data, I learn a classifier H eta. However, I measure the training accuracy with respect to the clean labels. If they happen to be the same, then we say that it's resisting memorization. You can see that on the right hand side, that's essentially J2 accuracy that we defined earlier, and on the left hand side, that's the accuracy for eta equals to 0. This is a reasonable formalization for resisting memorization. For RLL, as I pointed out, the J2 accuracy is mostly close to the accuracy when eta is 0. So to explain this, we can refer to this theorem, which says that if there's a symmetric loss and if the labels are randomly altered as per the process that I described earlier, equation 1, then when we measure two risks, one is risk over the noisy distribution for the same loss function, and the other is R eta, the risk over the noisy distribution, then the relative risk ranking remains the same, whether I am computing the risk in case of clean distribution or the noisy distribution. So symmetric losses can resist memorization. However, there is a caveat in the sense that if we go back to the definition here, so when I'm learning the classifier H versus when I'm learning the classifier H eta, in both the cases, you may or may not reach the same local minimum. Uh, so as is easy to see, a symmetric condition implies that the loss function is bounded, and given a bounded loss function, we can make that function satisfy this symmetric condition by normalizing it. What I mean by normalizing, that's stated in equation 3. So it's easy to see that this more normalized loss function now satisfies the symmetric condition that I mentioned earlier. Clearly CC loss is unbounded, and hence normalization won't turn it into a symmetric loss. However, we can normalize the MSE loss, and this is what we do, and we repeat the same experiment, same training algorithm, only one change: the loss function is changed to normalize MSE. And now you see that unlike in case of MSE, you do not see the network overfitting to the noisy training data. You see the curves which are quite similar to those observed for RLL. So this loss function is behaving more like RLL now. So in conclusion, the phenomena of memorization in deep networks has received a lot of attention because it's useful and important to understand generalization in these networks. We show through empirical studies that loss function alone can have such an effect on memorization. We show that the special loss functions, symmetric losses such as RLL, they help in resisting this memorization, and we provided some theoretical analysis to explain these empirical results. So these results do seem to suggest that choice of loss function is critical in deciding or rather controlling the overfitting by deep networks. And we feel that it's important to further investigate the nature of these different loss functions for a better understanding of robust learning. Thank you.